So the way that our board was set up was that it had to be 100% consensus decision making, which meant that we had to come to an agreement that everyone in the group felt was at least a compromise that they could live with. So there was no voting, there was no majority, there was no bullying people into this is how we're going to do it. Every time that we tried to make a decision or made a decision for the organization, we had to spend a lot of time consulting and really negotiating to make sure that everyone in the group could live with that decision. And we actually had some formal training done on consensus-based decision making to make sure that everyone understood kind of what's at play. The idea being that it's not my opinion against your opinion, it's how can our two opinions represent maybe different opinions that might serve the community, and how could these two opinions find a common ground or a middle ground that would best serve a larger group. It was really hard, and it took a lot of time, because obviously sometimes, especially I think with food ethics, people feel very strongly and have very strong opinions, and sometimes leaving your opinion to the side to listen to what somebody else is saying and to try to recognize yourself in what they're saying, and try to let your opinion shift so that you can find an opinion that's in the middle ground, it was a lot of work. Especially I think a lot of us were really young. I was 19 at the time, and you think you know everything, right? And so learning how to listen and how to compromise and how to keep in check your own ego and your own emotions and try to really look at what the good of the organization, what the good of the community is, as opposed to your desires for the community, was actually a really valuable lesson. And it's something that I feel, if there's something I took away from my experience of volunteering at Frigo Vert, was that in life, that's been a really useful tool, learning how to listen to what other people are saying and learning how to listen to what's good for the cause we're working towards and not for me as an agent of that cause. I remember being in meetings where we would have to have, you would have someone facilitating the board meeting, and then you would have someone that we called, a timekeeper, so that if conversations took too long and derailed, then you would have someone whose job it was in the meeting to say, okay, we only have 2 hours and we allotted 30 minutes to this discussion, so now we have to move on to decision making. We would always have someone we called a mood minder, whose job was looking at kind of the emotional state of the group and making sure that we were staying in a positive or at least a functional working mood together, that personal, conflicts weren't taking away from the work we were trying to do. And we would rotate those roles, so it's not like there was roles assigned. So it's not that there was a president of the board who always chaired the meetings, and then we each had these roles assigned like you would in a regular board where someone is the treasurer and someone is the secretary. We really tried to rotate to make sure that, again, no one's single agenda ever got forwarded, and that we were all really, again, working towards the agenda of what the Frigo Vert was trying to accomplish.